than the victory snap. Michigan came in here really ready to play. They're a really good team. They showed us what it needs to look like, quite frankly, and I think that's a team thing. We made some of the offensive guys watch what they were doing on offense and kind of how they were playing on offense. And so just looking at what it's supposed to look like, I think that taught us something. That team, there's a lot of people on that team that played and won a national championship, right? So give them all the credit in the world, okay? And so after that game, what do we got to do to fix it? How are we going to fix it? I've seen us practice at a very, very high level, okay? So I give our team, our players, Coach Rule, tremendous credit for having the resiliency to come out and practice the way that they did Tuesday and Wednesday. I've never seen it. I've never seen it like that in a bye week, and get away from it for several days, come back focused on Sunday, and then go out again this morning and have a really good practice. Okay, so you play a good team and the outcome isn't what you want it to be, then you just need to learn from it, right? And I think our team has learned from it, and man, I'm thrilled to see what it looks like on Saturday.
You guys are number 2 in the country in pass yards. I mean, is that what you envision, or do you want to see more balance as you kind of move forward in the Big Ten schedule?
Yeah, I do. I think Dylan's playing at a very, very, very high level, right? And so how I call plays, I call what's working. Okay, so I don't go into a game saying, man, we need to throw for 350 yards. It's all about how the flow of the game is. Okay, with that said, our running back, our running game, it needs to improve against an opponent like that, right? And so, I was happy with where the run was after the first few games, but then you play a top 20 team that's, a perennial top 20 team, and it didn't look the way it needs to look. We weren't finishing blocks, and that's not a shot at our O-line. That's a shot at our offense, because there's so many people that are involved in it, right? First play of the game, Emmett gets 14 yards, and that's the longest run that we had all day, and so we gotta do a better job of scheming things up. We gotta do a better job of sustaining blocks. That's everybody on offense, and then we gotta run harder, and I know a lot's been said about, who number 2 is and all that stuff. We have options, and it's our job to get them there, and when we put them in there, it needs to look better. So if you want more running, if you want more rushes, then when I call it, it's got to look better. I'm not going to just keep calling things that aren't working for us, right? So we have a very diverse offense and we can do a lot of different things. We can get the ball to a lot of different people. That to me is balance. That's balance, okay? And my job is to call the plays that are working to where we have a chance to be successful.
How those younger backs come along when the ball's not in their hands, pass pro and all that stuff?
Yeah, they all getting better. Every time we get out there, I think those guys get better. It's all of them. So, I think you'll see something that you haven't seen on Saturday. I know Coach alluded to that as well, and that's what I'm going to go with.
I know Coach Rule didn't want to give it away necessarily at the tackle spot either, but how do you feel about how that, competition and it worked itself out in general?
Yeah, it's the same conversation. It's the exact same conversation, right? We got to try to settle on who our best players are, and I think all those tackles have had a good 2 weeks. They've pass setted a million times over the last 2 weeks. Okay, and so I think you'll see improvement when it comes to that. That was elite pass rush that we saw. Okay, and now we know what it looks like, and now we know what our bodies have to do and how our bodies need to play. And it's our job as coaches to get the best ones out there.
You find yourself doing from a football perspective on Friday and Saturday when you guys had time without practice and not a game, 2 days away?
Yeah, I don't go out on the road. So, Thursday we worked all day. I came in Friday and just started keep hammering on Michigan State. Got out of here Friday early afternoon and pretended I didn't have a job for about a day and a half. It was an unbelievable weekend for sports. You had the golf, which was amazing, and then you had all those good games and stuff. And so I ain't gonna lie to you, Friday night, I just watched. A lot of times I would potentially go see my kids or something like that for a day or so. I was just like, man, I'm just going to stay here and do nothing. And so I watched a lot of football, a lot of teams that we're going to be playing down the road.
What's your overall evaluation of the red zone, particularly the deep red, not just the run game, but the pass game down there?
Yeah, we got to get better at it. You know, it's not like we haven't emphasized it. We've emphasized it since the day that I got here. Is one of the first things that I pointed out that we needed to fix. You know, this was game 10 last year, you know, and so, you know, it's a lot of things. We got to do a better job of scheming up runs. We got to do a better job of getting positive yards. We got to do a better job of obviously finishing, you know. I've got to do a better job of more pass game stuff that puts the ball in Dylan's hands and not just one-on-one RPOs. You know, that worked against Cincinnati. We caught 2 one-on-one RPOs, you know, man-to-man. Okay, we're going to face man down there, but I may need to scheme a few things up more, you know. And so I got to get creative. That's my job, and we've done that the last 2 weeks.
What comes out to you about Michigan State?
Yeah, good team, big, physical. You know, it just they look like a Big Ten football team to me, you know. And so they're big, they're physical, you know, they do a lot of man stuff in the red zone, so that's going to be something that we're going to have to work on. Tomorrow's a big red zone day for us, and can't wait to get out there and practice it.
Coach? Is there number 91 that's jump out at you, the big defensive tackle they have inside, old guy?
Yeah, absolutely. That they're thick inside. Their backers are extremely active. You know, 5, the backer, I hate pinpointing one. I know both those guys. 5 got booted, but he'll be back, and he's their best player, I think. You know, he's very active and is experienced. I know a couple of those other guys got hurt, but it's gonna be a test, man. I mean, every week in the Big Ten is gonna look the same.
Watching just 2 weeks of the Big Ten, a lot of one-score games again last week, other than Ohio State's win. I mean, what are your thoughts just watching this league play out now for a couple of weeks?
Yeah, it'll be the 5th Big Ten opponent that I've gone against, and every game has been one score. I mean, in our games, they've all been one-score games. You know, I mean, go back to last year when I was here, USC was a one-score game. I guess Wisconsin, we got away from them a little bit, and Iowa was a one-score game. Michigan was a one-score game. You got to go into it thinking every game is going to be a one-score game. You know, and every game, and when you're playing games like that, every drive is important. You know, I mean, you're going to get about 10 to 12 drives, you know, so you better take advantage of every one of them.
All good?
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Okay.
I know you moved on to the game prep, but real quick, how useful was the bye week just for you as a coach to go back and look at some specific things?
You know, we have two of them, and I think they're very useful just to really study yourself, study, you know, when we talk about that, study your personnel. Are we playing the right guys? Are they in the right position? Evaluate their performance based on their tackling, their coverage win percentage, their ability to get off blocks. Heavily evaluate our schemes, what we're calling in certain situations, whether it be by down, by down and distance or by certain personnel groups. So yeah, you spend that entire time reflecting really not only just on the season, but you know, we had like an 8 to 9 week period through training camp, through our first 4 ball games where you're trying to assess your players, your schemes, and how we best should move forward. So that's essentially all you do.
How do you go about not overreacting to the way that you have to address defending or preventing the big plays that you saw against Michigan?
Well, the big plays are happening when? In the run game. They're only happening in the run game. So it's very specific. It's not like they're running the ball for 50 yards and throwing the ball for 50 yards. So I think we have a good plan in terms of what we're doing when we think they're going to throw the ball. So we've got to solve the obvious, which is not just the run defense, but the explosive plays that we're giving up in the run defense. And really it comes down to guys being in their gaps, guys having the ability to get off blocks. You know, credit to the other team. I think I said this to you guys in the past, like I have to evaluate, can they block us? Can we tackle them? And I think through really the Cincinnati game and the Michigan game, because they're the two obviously comparable opponents in terms of talent similar to ours or better, you have to be able to evaluate. And right now we're getting blocked too much and we're not tackling them well enough. And we have to practice that. We have to emphasize that. At times maybe, you know, we've got to put more guys in the box, which then, as you know, when it's 11 on 11 and the quarterback's running the ball, the more you put in the box, the more you make yourself susceptible to throws down the field. But we obviously have to address that because that's the elephant in the room. That's Captain Obvious can figure out that we're giving up too many explosive runs.
What kind of challenges does Aiden Childs present the quarterback?
I think he's a great athlete. He can throw in the pocket. He can throw on the move. He can run design. They have the quarterback draws that we've seen, you know, out of Cincinnati and that we've seen out of Michigan. They have the same exact structure that we've seen. And then they run him a lot in the red zone. And then he takes off a lot just in scrambles. He's very difficult to tackle. You can see he's got strong lower body. And you can see he's a very, very, very good competitor, which, you know, that's really what it comes down to in these games is the competitors stand out, the ones that aren't on your team, the ones that are on their team. And you can see that, you know, much like Sorsby, when you see how well he's competed even after our game, those guys that have it in them and in their heart and they're going to do whatever it takes to win, those are the types of guys you have to make sure you're defending.
Have you guys taken notice that Sorsby, how good he's played since you played him? And he's thrown for 975 and 10 TDs since the Nebraska game.
He's thrown for 975 yards and 10 touchdowns since our game. I didn't know that. Well, he's a pretty good player, I guess. I think somebody mentioned it the other day, and one of the guys mentioned, I think more specifically, the Kansas game. They said he threw for almost 400 in the Kansas game, but good for him. He's obviously made the adjustments he's needed to make, but we really got to focus on us and figuring out a way to stop the run, stop the explosive runs.
You mentioned tackling. I mean, Michigan State's backs are 211, 218, and 227 pounds. What's the challenge of maybe tackling them, and how have you guys worked on tackling the last 10 days or so?
Yeah, I think we work on tackling every single day, even when we're not in pads. So it's all about leverage, angles, and a lot of times the approach. So like too many of our guys at times, like we constantly are hitting them about we're breaking down too soon. You're getting, and we're not minimizing the space. If you look at the big run that the running back from Michigan had the other day, I mean, yeah, Marquise was right there to make the tackle, but he broke down way too far. And what happens is you give an athlete a lot of space. He has the chance to make you miss inside or outside. So the next thing is we need to get more guys to the ball. So it's not just about one guy. Like if you look at that run, yeah, Marquise didn't make the tackle, but we have to get other guys getting off blocks. I mean, that was an 8-man front defense where we have every gap fitted. And sooner or later, you've got to be able to get off a block, make a play, do those types of things. So we've just got to keep emphasizing, keep showing them, being as positive with them as we can, and making sure that as we continue to move forward, the ones that are bought into getting off blocks, winning in their gaps, getting to the ball, tackling, you know, that's the type of guys. And run defense is about an attitude. a lot of times pass defense is about scheme and structure, but run defense is about an attitude, winning in your gap, getting off a block, getting to the ball, being physical and tackling. So we've got to keep emphasizing that and making sure we're getting the right guys on the field to do that.
Do you think the attitude has changed in the last 10 days? Why do you feel like it wasn't quite what you wanted it to be?
I think maybe if I said that, you misinterpreted me. I don't think the attitude was in any way, shape, or form wrong. I think it's just, they presented us with some problems. The running back was a really good player. I think if you looked at him, I think he might be leading and one of the tops in the country in rushing. He's a big, strong, physical back. You mentioned the running backs from Michigan State. And, a back that has power and has elusiveness and has the ability to hit the home run, they're tough to deal with. And that's just about us, again, getting more people around the ball and having more population. So if one guy misses, guys miss tackles all the time, but if one guy misses, somebody's got to be there to overlap and get him on the ground. And that's what we've got to really do a good job of. And what we've really been emphasizing is not just the tackling piece, but the population, getting more people to the ball.
Hey, Coach, with Malcolm's situation, how have you managed that on the back end? And guys like Rex and Donovan, Donovan continue to get a lot of playing time with Malcolm's situation.
Yeah, it's unfortunate with Malcolm right now. He's still trying to fight to get back on the field, and obviously he's made some big plays for us throughout his career last year and this year, specifically obviously in the Cincinnati game. But I think our depth in the secondary. You mentioned Rex. He's a developing young player that's playing a lot. You mentioned Donnie, a young player that's playing a lot and playing well for us. So that area really, while every area has to be an area of continued developing, we're not going to overreact and say because we're doing this in the run defense, we don't have to sacrifice time and let our pass defense and our pass rush falter. But, that's obviously an area of strength, both personnel-wise and, systematically. So it's not a concern for us. We're happy with those guys' development. We just got to keep bringing those guys along.
Have you guys, why do you feel we've been so good at taking other teams' tight ends away? It's been a real success point for you guys this year. Obviously, you've taken away all the pass game for other teams.
Yeah, I think
but
we've
tight
done a
ends
good
have
job
done-
of taking all their pass catchers away if you look at our statistics in that regard. I think we have guys that can challenge routes. I think, you're not going to be a very good pass defense if you live in the zone coverage world. You'll probably get a couple more interceptions and maybe a couple more plays on the ball. But you have to be either a man coverage or a match coverage team. You have to be able to challenge routes with what you're doing systematically. Make the quarterback, make it hard for him to throw into tighter windows, which we've been doing both against the tight ends, against the backs in the screen game, and then against the wide receivers outside. Now those challenges are going to continue to present themselves as, we feel like that Michigan State's got some really good wideouts that have had some production in their career and a quarterback that can throw it. So I think this will be one of our biggest challenges in that regard. But I think it's just the mindset and the mentality of those players. They're not afraid to contest and challenge, and that's what you have to do. You have to make completions hard.
It felt like Gabe Moore was in that green jersey up until almost the start of the season. How or when did you know that he could give you some snaps despite that?
As soon as we put him in practice. He's a player that's clearly obvious. Some guys you can figure it out right away. Everybody has to develop at their own pace, but he played for us a little bit in the spring and did some things that kind of was like, okay. And then he had a setback injury-wise, I think, over the summer related to his previous knee surgery that led to a hamstring or something of that nature. And he wasn't really able to get out with us. But once we put him back out there, there's a fact of football that big wins. If you're big inside and you're physical, you're going to be harder to block than a little guy. And so when you look at Gabe, he's a big human that plays a good pad level, still has a long way to go from a standpoint of just developing as a player in our scheme. But the second we put him in there, I think it was a 9-on-7, he made a couple plays. He was on a rep count, and then it became like as soon as we can get him back where he can play 3 or 4 plays at a time, we're going to play him because he was going to help us. And I think he's a guy that if he continues to come along will help us on first down, will help us in some of those rundowns, and allow us to stabilize ourselves in our run defense.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Questions?
What was the bye week for you guys as far as what you wanted to address and improve as an offensive line?
Yeah, just going back to our technique and basics, kind of just go back to the drawing board, see where we can improve at as a whole group, and really just build off that.
What did you, I know you're on the Michigan tape, but just take away from the Michigan tape as you went into the bye week and evaluated?
Yeah, I mean they're a good defense. We saw it on tape all week leading up to the game. We just had to improve on some areas, and we just didn't execute when we needed to be.
What are those areas you want to see improvement in?
I mean, just run blocking, finishing our guy, pass pro, same thing, protecting inside out.
What would you say has been the mood around the team for the last week?
For last week, just find a way to get better each and every day. Using this preparation that we have, and allowing this time, that we're allowed to have, and just building off that. Bye week right now is very critical. You're in that like week 4, week 5 setting, starting conference play. So, kind of get your bodies back to where you need to be, and kind of it's a 6-week sprint to in the sense of the next bye week.
Said it right after the game last week that he didn't like having a bye after a loss because it had to just sit with you guys for twice as long.
Yeah, I don't think anybody does. I mean, it's kind of how the game goes sometimes. There's a winner and there's a loser. We just had to happen to be on that end of it. But, we just got to learn from it and build off of it.
Curious, Nebraska's bye week approach. You've been around a long time. I mean, Coach Holgorsen mentioned how physical it was, and he said that wasn't something he was used to. Was it different for you, even just the way you guys went ones on ones and did a lot during the bye week?
Yeah, we got after it. Plain and simple as that. I mean, it was a very violent, physical approach, and I feel like we needed that.
I think he was talking more about the tackles than he was the interior guys, but Coach Rule and some of the guys may have agreed with it too. Was in saying that they were you guys were giving Michigan's pass rush a little bit too much credit, or maybe it was you that was in here after the game. How did that sit with everybody like through the week of reviewing film, and do you still agree that was the case?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was just the tackles. I don't think I played to where I could have helped those guys out. It's like my eyes could have been better. I could have helped out, clearing the pocket better. It starts. It's all 5 of us. It's not just the guys on the outside that people see on film. Just from the bye week standpoint, we just kind of built off that and, really just broke it down into just little increments of where we can improve on.
He said that he had you guys watch Michigan's offensive line tape. Just what did that look like, and what did you take from that?
They just had a couple explosive runs. They're finishing their blocks where we could have, done better in that game. Credit to them, they're a good O-line.
Anything else for Rocco?
You've been around some teams that have rebounded really well from disappointing losses. What have you taken from those lessons and impart to this group?
Guys are buying in. They bought in, from day one, and now that, our backs are against the wall a little bit, it's more of just like, kill or be killed. That's kind of our mindset going for the rest of the season.
All good.
Thanks,
Rock.
video that from out there, we'll share that too, so.
All right, guys.
Questions for Luke?
Like I said, it was a pretty violent, physical week of practices. Did you feel that?
Yeah, I mean, it was a great week to get better and improve, and we just did a lot of good on good, so it was a great week for us.
What did you see the offensive line kind of do in practice this week that, gives you hope, not that you lost any hope, but make you think they're going to bounce back pretty well?
I mean, they just do what they always do. They go back to their standards. So, I mean, what they do in Indy is not easy. Like they're probably one of the hardest working groups on the offense, and they just keep doubling down on their process.
How would you assess just the run blocking for you guys in terms of improving in that area? What do you guys need to do?
Well, all I can do is like look at me and like how I can improve. And there was some plays where I wasn't happy with my blocks on last game, and all I can do is just look at it, improve my footwork. Some of it is balance stuff, like if getting on my toes. If you get on my toes, I get thrown off. So staying on my insteps really is how I can improve in the run blocking.
What do you know about Michigan State? And just you guys haven't played them in a few years. And what do you know about what they bring to the table?
I mean, every game they bring the same thing, so we kind of know what to expect, but it could be completely different. So every week it's just a new New Jersey number I'm going against, and if I can get my technique down, then that's all that matters.
I know you expected to be more involved in the pass game, but it's happened in the first 4 games. To give 160 yards. Just how have you felt about that connection you have with Dylan so far, and how that can even take another step?
It's been pretty fun, and it's just crazy. Like the first catch I had, I wasn't even supposed to go out for a route, but it's a good connection that me and him have. We can just feel the field, and I'll just go to space, and he'll find me. He's a great quarterback.
Like to see Dylan lead over the last 2 weeks after a loss.
I mean, he takes charge, takes ownership, and he's got a fire inside of him that he wants to ignite in all of us too to bounce back this week.
Coach Rule mentioned not letting one game beat you twice. Was there a point last week when you saw it flip to like, okay, that hurt, but we moved on?
Yeah, I mean, we wish that we could go out and play a game last week to bounce back, and I mean, not having that, there was. That showed up in practice, like not having a game, the physicality and the competitiveness that we put on each other. And I mean, iron sharpens iron. We got better last week, which was huge.
You said Dylan kind of stepped up and been a leader this week. I mean, speak a little bit more to that. I mean, was he vocal? Was he doing that through his play? I mean, how did he kind of step up and lead?
I mean, yeah, in his play, like during practice, like if he didn't like something, he shut it down, and like we did it again, and he made sure like his opinion was heard. And like he's probably one of the hardest workers on the offense, and as a tight end and anybody else on the offense, we see that, and we want to match that.
Other questions for Luke?
Thank you guys.
Questions for Bill?
So in the interim, you got a bye week, and I know you didn't want to have to go through that, but as a leader, what do you do in that bye week, and what do you do this week to prepare your team to get back to the field?
Yeah, we just get back to who we are. Don't lose sight of what kind of team we are. Competitors, hard-nosed football players that love the game and love playing for each other. So last week was a lot of team compete, good on good, and I think that was the best thing for us.
Is there any value in like somewhat of a mental reset when you guys get a day or two off on the weekend?
Absolutely. I think there's a huge aspect to that. Going 4 weeks, 5 weeks, however long, if you include training camp, probably 8 weeks. It was a big reset. I know for myself it was, and a lot of the guys. So, but everyone's itching to get back on the field.
Watch football or spend time with family? Would you?
Yeah, I had Thursday. Took Thursday off. Friday, Saturday, just went out, hung out with my family, worked out, and then watched football. And kind of got ready for Michigan State. Kind of just first glances and kind of seeing what stuff I like. But it was a relaxing weekend for sure.
Appreciation for what the Big Ten's gonna bring to you over the next 8 weeks by watching games at all?
Yeah, I think it presents a great opportunity for our football team to step up and win the big games that, for so long around here has been kind of lost. But I know everyone's excited to get back out there.
Where did you kind of need to step up as a leader? I know you were pretty adamant about this as a time when you guys needed to come together. Luke said you did a good job of that. So where did you kind of have to lead in the bye week?
Yeah, I think, I knew we had a special team when right after the game we came back in the locker room and, normally where it's pointing fingers and he did this, you did that. But we just kind of latched on and came together. And from my point of view, it was just making sure that guys aren't making excuses for themselves and making sure that they understand that it's our responsibility. No one's going to come hand us anything. So we wouldn't want it any other way.
What has been the mentality of the offensive line since Michigan, just as far as stepping it up and being challenged more here this past week?
Yeah, I mean, the same thing every week. Sometimes you get hit in the mouth, and whether it's, them or, honestly, I don't think that everything was them. I would put a lot of it on myself and, not being able to, get the football out, I need to make sure that I help them out with that. So I would be careful putting all of it on them just because it's not just those 5 guys, but it's the receivers, it's the running backs, and ultimately it's me. So I'll take that one, and I know we'll learn from it and be better.
What's your evaluation of the red zone offense so far? And did you spend some time kind of studying a few of those plays?
Yeah, I think honestly, for being honest, it's been poor. And, I think if we, punch those in for 6 points, the game will turn and the momentum and things will shift. So that's an emphasis. I think every single week there's not a week that you don't want to score in the red zone. There's money down there and you got to go get it. So that's important.
Just announced your name to the Jason Witten Collegiate Man of the Year, like on the watch list. I don't know if you knew that.
I
But
didn't
it's an
know.
off the field and on the field. I was going to ask you about just the off the field
Yeah.
stuff, like how important that's been to you to be part of the community along with being the quarterback here.
Yeah, so, growing up, my parents, I'd give them all the credit for raising hopefully a great young man that cares about more than just football. And for me, is to give back to our community because there's so much that goes in them supporting us and them doing so many things for Husker football. So, that's the least I can do is go out and give back to the community. And I feel, it's an honor to kind of be viewed as that. But, it's cool. I didn't know that.
Do you have an appreciation for just how good the quarterback play is in the league right now? I mean, there's 10 or 11 guys are above 65%, a lot of touchdown throws, not many interceptions.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I think I don't know how to say this, but the Big Ten's a special league, and I think that people are starting to see that now. But at the end of the day, it's all football. It's the guy that gets the ball every down, getting into people that make plays, and I think football, if you look at it from that standpoint, it's very simple, and you just got to stick to those things and making plays.
Is there anybody in that group that you particularly respect or enjoy watching?
Every single one of them, because I know and understand everything that they go through, and I respect all of them. There's not one guy that I can single out that I respect more than the other because we all go through the same thing. So it's it's honestly cool to see guys, and on the bye you get to watch guys in your conference go out there and play and compete, and it's nothing better than seeing someone go win and watching people fight and try to win a football game.
What jumps out about Michigan State, their defense, and maybe how they've attacked and gone after quarterbacks?
Yeah, I mean they have a great front, great linebackers, and their safeties and corners play very well together. They play hard, and you face a team that plays hard and they play sound. They can create issues if you're not on your P's and Q's. So we'll have our hands full coming in Saturday, especially after coming off a bye week. They're coming off a bye, we're coming off a bye, and previous experiences from them, they've come out and beat some pretty good teams off a bye week. So any given Saturday, something could happen, and hopefully we'll be on the winning side of that.
How was your experience? Your dad played so long, and just being a high-profile recruit helped you not pay attention to whether it's praise or negative critiques or in between, just go about your business.
Yeah, my father has a big impact on that. I think my mom gets lost in it just because my dad's played, but my mom really knows everything about the game, and yeah, I mean whether it's good or whether it's bad, it doesn't matter. The game, the time of the game, when you got to play, how many snaps you got to play, doesn't care about the previous weeks or things that happened before. So, I have a very strict process, and I follow it to a T, and I make sure that every week that it happens. And when you get results that are somewhat good, then you lean in and you double down on that process and you just keep moving. But it hasn't been good enough. Obviously losing a football game, so. Self-evaluated and tighten the screws up, and we'll be ready to buckle our chin straps and go win this weekend.
All right. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you. Yep.